Experience!
The Ravens are at the Chargers. They're 2.5-point favorites. That's down from 3 over the weekend. Not a ton of injury concerns in this game. Rashad Bateman had appeared on the Friday injury report for the Ravens, but was removed from it on Saturday, so he is going to be good to go for this game. On the Chargers side of the ball, Hayden Hurst is out, so expect to see Will Disley running a full complement of snaps and is a fantastic showdown option, prop play, and for your fantasy lineups is a top 10 tight end for the week, but frankly, you've probably already made that decision. If you waited on Will Disley or you just watched the Saturday show, then you were fine on that front. For the underdog plays for Monday Night Football, first things first, you can use code Mayo right now and get yourself a free pick for the game to juice up the entry for Monday Night Football. And if you watch the Saturday show or sub to the newsletter or just followed me on Twitter, the main play hit on Sunday. Always good when the main play hits. So you should have some extra money in your account to throw down on this one for Monday Night Football. And don't forget, Code Mayo also gets you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. First one, Justin Herbert on the Chargers side of the ball, higher than 21.5 rushing yards. Herbert is taking off a little bit more as of late, and Baltimore can still bring the heat just a little bit. And if the guys are not open down the field, which is always something against the Ravens, that they probably are going to be open down the field, that is the one problem that you do have. But if Herbert gets chased out of the pocket, this could just be 2 runs for him in this game to hit the higher of 21.5. Then on the other side of the ball, Mark Andrews' number has been decreased to 32.5 receiving yards. I like the higher on that, even with Isiah likely running a ton of routes. It probably only takes 2 catches for Andrews to get there. At least that is the want in this game. If it becomes a higher scoring affair, which the total would indicate, then Lamar is going to have to actually throw the ball downfield, and Andrews will be that reliable option on third down. So higher than 21.5 rushing yards for Justin Herbert, higher than 32.5 receiving yards for Mark Andrews. You win 3 times your money if that hits. And if you throw in the free pick by using code Mayo, you turn this 3-1 into 6-1 very easily on Monday Night Football. The Week 13 injury report, you can always find the full cheat sheet for this along with the pickups and game-by-game, team-by-team notes in the Mayo Media newsletter. That link is free down in the show notes right now, all right? Along with the full injury report, I've listed in the show notes as well. David Montgomery is first up. He exited the game with a shoulder injury against the Colts, but Dan Campbell said he should be good to go for Thursday. If not, it's going to be a lot of Zamir Gibbs, maybe a little bit of Craig Reynolds, but I do expect Montgomery to play. Expect Gibbs to be higher than Montgomery in the rankings like he is on a normal week. There's no ranking show this week, by the way, because of the holiday. We'll have extra bonus content plus a live show at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Mayo Media Network for the Thanksgiving and Black Friday game. So tune into that, but just sub to the newsletter. It's completely free, and the rankings will be sent to you. Then I'll have the full breakdown on Saturday for everything once we get the full injury report heading into the weekend. No teams on bye this week. Remember that. Washington sustained 2 injuries at running back. You have Brian Robinson, who exited the game with an ankle injury. He exited on the first play of the game for Washington offensively, then returned, then left in the second half again. Then Austin Ekeler got blown up on the final kick return of the game. He has a concussion. I would not expect him to play in week number 13. Robinson, probably a bit iffy. Isiah Pacheco missed the game again. He should probably play this week. We'll see how the practice report goes as he is returning from that extensive injury. Maybe it's another week shelved for him, and even if he does play, would not expect a full workload back the first week, but obviously he would take away from Kareem Hunt. The Kareem Hunt experiment in your fantasy lineups is coming to an end. Tyjae Spears missed the game with a concussion for Tennessee. He should be back for week number 13, but again, if he does not pass protocol, if he does not practice, he ain't going to play this week. Alexander Mattison and Zamir White both missed Sunday's game. One of them probably should return. If not, you'll get a heavy dose of Amir Abdullah as the pass-catching back, the key to our underdog success on Sunday. And if it's not going to be him, Isiah McCormick will probably handle the majority of the work on the ground if the Raiders get up. But here's the thing, the Raiders are rarely up in games. Tank Bigsby should return for the Jags coming off of its bye week. The wide receiver injuries, there was a few of them. Michael Pittman and Josh Downs both exited the game for the Colts. No word yet on whether or not they're going to return for week number 13. If not, it's not good for them against the Patriots. You already have Christian Gonzalez, who probably take away Michael Pittman anyway. If it's not, you're going to see a lot of A.D. Mitchell, a lot of Alec Pierce, and a bunch of that smorgasbord of tight ends that they tend to run out between Ogletree and Goodson and Mo Alley-Cox. So not great on the Colts receiving front if these guys end up missing the game. Not too concerned about Pittman. You didn't want to play him anyway, but Josh Downs is someone that would probably crack your fantasy lineups in week number 13. Cedric Tillman exited last Thursday's game with a concussion. He does have enough time to make week 13 and pass protocol, but again, the Wednesday practice report is going to be important for him. Khalif Raymond is leaning out for Thursday for the Lions. He exited the game with a foot injury in week number 12. Devonta Smith and his hamstring. Obviously, they played on Sunday night. He did not play in that game. So we'll see if he can get in some practice for Sunday this week. Josh Reynolds is questionable with his hand injury for the Broncos. Keon Coleman is coming off of the bye week with a wrist injury. It was said that he was going to miss multiple weeks. He already missed one, then the bye week. So he could be back for this week's game against the 49ers, but would not count on it. Probably 50-50 at best. And Darnell Mooney is probably the same way with his hamstring injury. Exited against Denver 2 weeks ago. This week on bye week, once we get the Wednesday practice report, we should know more on whether or not Mooney is going to be in the lineup for the Falcons this week. At tight end, Jatavion Sanders left with a neck injury. He was discharged from the hospital, so that's good news. Would not expect him to go in week number 13 for the Panthers. We also have Jake Ferguson missed the game with a concussion with a quick turnaround on Thursday. Probably not going to be in, which means more Schoonmaker in your life. Then you have Noah Fant, also missed the Seahawks game with a groin injury. That's been 3 consecutive weeks that he has not played. He did get into limited practice on Friday, but was still unable to go on Sunday. Would expect him to play in week number 13. So if you've been riding AJ Burner for God knows why, if that's reasons unknown, if you're in the AJ Burner only league, then yeah, I guess that's probably bad news that you don't have to play him anymore. But Noah Fant would probably slot in right around tight end 15, 16. Not a must start, but someone who's a capable streamer if you're in a deep league and you needed someone, hopefully with no bye weeks. You do not need that. Hayden Hurst is out again for Monday Night Football with this hip injury. He also had personal reasons why he missed a week ago. So we'll see how he ends up trending against the Falcons this week in week number 13. Then Dalton Kincaid, much like Keon Coleman, was out before the bye week. Obviously had the bye week to recuperate. He's probably 50-50 to play against the 49ers this week. Quarterback, there was actually a ton of injuries. Gardner Minshew was out for the season with a broken collarbone for the Raiders. AOC could be activated from injured reserve. If not, it's going to be Desmond Ridder playing quarterback. Frankly, for the Raiders receivers and offense, I think that Ridder is most likely the better option here. So hopefully he ends up starting if you've been starting Raiders on your fantasy team, or at least want to start Raiders on your fantasy team. But again, no bye weeks means you probably don't have to start a ton of Raiders. Brock Bowers, yes, for sure. Maybe Jacoby Myers, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's all you need from the Raiders this week. Brock Purdy missed the game with a shoulder injury. Brandon Allen started. Brandon Allen also got hurt. Hopefully Brock Purdy can be back. There's rumors that he's going to be fine and playing this week against Buffalo. There's also rumors that he could be out for the season with a shoulder injury. We do not know, so pay attention to that. If they don't have Brock Purdy, downgrade all San Francisco 49ers because their offense looked inept without Purdy and Brandon Allen starting under center. Maybe this could be a Daniel Jones operation. Who knows? Tommy DeVito will remain the Giants starter on Thanksgiving, week number 12 at the Dallas Cowboys. Probably a good spot to take the Dallas Cowboys because Tommy DeVito stinks. Sam Darnold has an ankle injury. He returned to the game. He is expected to play in week number 13. Ditto for Baker Mayfield, who sustained a stinger against the Giants, throwing downfield blocks up by 27 points. But hey, here we are. Baker should be fine against Carolina this week. And Trevor Lawrence, again, a lot like Brock Purdy, could play in week number 13 coming off of this bye week. But it's also an AC joint in his left shoulder. They only have 2 wins. There's no reason to run him back out there, so he could be shut down at some point. Again, Wednesday practice report will be the most important for Trevor Lawrence. And then the streaming defenses for week number 13. The Chargers have now been dropped and are available in over 50% of leagues. They are the best streaming defense for the playoffs. And hell, I would run them out against Atlanta this week in week number 13 as well. Just get them on your roster if you're going to be in the playoffs. playoffs, even though it's not the best matchup of the week against the Falcons. It's not bad either. And then they have those 3 glorious matchups in the fantasy playoffs, weeks 15, 16, and 17. Other streamers to look at: Dallas at home against the Giants and Tommy DeVito on Thursday morning football, I guess Thursday afternoon football. They're the sandwich game of Thanksgiving, but they're second in the rankings. Green Bay at home against Miami late on Thanksgiving. When you put Tua outdoors, we saw the attacking defense that we haven't seen in a while from the Packers, so maybe they can keep that going. We know that the Dolphins' offensive line is not good. They do get the ball out quickly, so Tua doesn't sustain a ton of pressure or sacks just based on how quickly they run a lot of their plays. But if they do fall behind, he might need to take a few more 3-step and 5-step, or hell, probably not 7-step drops for Tua. He's just not that type of quarterback. But if the Packers can get at him in a positive game script, then they'll be very valuable to have as a fantasy defense. After that, Indianapolis is going to New England. Drake May loves turning the ball over. Let's go for it. Indianapolis, also the second best streaming defense for the fantasy playoffs right now after the Chargers. So a good time to go get them. They have a very easy schedule outside of the Broncos next week to end its season. Washington at home against Tennessee, and then the Giants at Dallas. If you're in dire straits in deeper leagues, still should be in a pretty good spot. They still get to the quarterback. Dallas offensive line sucks, and Cooper Rush, is willing to give the ball to the other team from time to time, as I found out. Again, the full cheat sheet is in the newsletter right now. That's in the show notes. And I will be back all week with Thanksgiving exclusive content and the rest of the week content as well. And if you want the ranking, sub for free to the Mayo Media newsletter on Substack. All right? I'm Pat Mayo.
Mayo Experience! Experience!